Now, more than 12,000 residents of Nangpanduri and its environs in the northeast region lack access to quality health care and are currently being forced to self-medicate or rely on unskilled healthcare providers. The only facility in the community also lacks the required professionals to provide essential health services. Residents are currently calling for government intervention as an expansion project to address the challenge has been abandoned due to lack of funds. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko has more.
Located about 22 kilometers west of the district capital, Bunkpurgu, the Nangpanduri community is blessed with a lot of fauna and flora. However, years of continued tribal, land and chieftaincy hostilities have suppressed the progress of the area. Access to healthcare is one of the biggest challenges facing Nangpanduri and its people. With a population of almost 12,000, the town has only a private facility providing very limited services. Residents therefore have to travel to various locations within and outside the region to seek proper medical care. But with the roads and health centers in deplorable state, seeing a doctor when sick has always been an uphill task. The chief of the community, Naba David M. Kasuk, is worried.
Like a hospital to go, we go to Boku, Garu, or Nalergu, which are 18 miles and above, 20 miles apart from here. And this COVID-19, we are praying hard. And I have appeased all the gods of the land, some with cattle, cows, fowls, and goats. But I think that more needs to be done. My fear is that if God forbid, if Corona-19 to land in the country, we are finished. Our health system cannot contain it at all.
Years ago, the town had a very vibrant health center, which was jointly run by government and the Pentecost Church. But insecurity has meant the facility was downgraded to a chief's compound B. The deteriorating state of affairs of the facility compelled the Pentecost Church to commence an intensive expansion works in order to ensure provision of essential health services are restored. However, the expansion works, which started in 2017, was abandoned in 2011. Now, following the outbreak of the coronavirus disease, President Akufo-Addo announced plans to build more than 90 new hospitals to bridge the medical inequalities in the country. The chiefs and people of Nangpanduri are asking the president to take over the project from the Pentecost Church and put it into use.
We don't have doctors. Our children are dying because of the hospital. We are suffering. We are begging the government to look at we women in Nangpanduri. It should help us build the hospital for us. We are suffering. We are going to Garu, Nalergu with our children. No doctors in the hospital. Water, we don't have water in Nangpanduri too.
The healthcare here is bad. We don't have a resident doctor. A doctor who is residing in town. This facility is for Assemblies for God. And my appeal is if the church cannot manage the facility, cannot complete the project, they should better hand it over to the government. We are calling on the government to expedite action, and we are appealing to the government. If it is going to build 94 or 88 facility is talking about, it should try to come and support us complete this facility instead of building a new one.
From Nangpanduri, Ilyasu Tanko, Joy News.
We'll bring you to Accra, where some residents in the Ayawaso North constituency are resisting a second test for COVID-19. Municipal Health Director Dr. Sophia Quiz said some of the persons who have tested positive once and in self-isolation at home are not allowing for a second test to be conducted. She said this when the wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, presented some sanitary and food items to the Nima and Mamobi government hospitals.
As you know, I was also a resident of this community some time ago. I used to operate a business just up the road. So whatever happens in this community is very dear to my heart. So these items are to support your work. Say thank you so much for what you're doing. Keep working hard.
Currently, Mamobi or Ayawaso North has quite a number of cases in the municipality, and it's been a successful situation. But then currently our challenges are that when we have the cases and we want to do a retest to ascertain whether they have recovered, it's now a big challenge for us. They are refusing us entry. They are not allowing us to take the second and the third test to make sure that they have recovered. When we get to the community, they refuse anything we say because they feel once we've given them the first test, there's no need for the second and the third test.
These were persons who had tested positive and are in the community. Did they go on self-isolation? Did you monitor that?
These are the ones whom we have assigned as home-based care, and therefore we call them daily. We go to their homes to check on them daily. And so when they surpass the 2 weeks, and then we go back to do their first test to ascertain whether they have recovered. Then the second test will now give them the final recovery stage. So these are those who we have assigned as home-based, and we have assessed their situation, their home situation, and realized that they can do the isolation in their homes. Yeah.
So how come you don't find them? What happens? Do they run away?
They don't run away. For some have traveled because the lockdown was lifted. Some have traveled. For those who are in their homes, when we get there, they lock the door. They don't allow us entry. And then even for those who even allow us entry, once we just disclose to them we are coming for your second test or your third test, they refuse the samples to be taken. They refuse us entry.
This must be a Herculean task. So how are you intending to manage it?
Our next step now is to engage the assemblymen because they are in the community with them, and also do a more education. Now they need to really appreciate that for now the only thing we can do is they need to accept the education. They need to open up for us to educate them. Fortunately, we have those who have recovered from the isolation centers who are now back home. So our next step is to use them as ambassadors to educate the others who are refusing us the treatment or the second test.
Samira Bawumia said, as a former resident of the constituency, she was proud to be giving back, especially in such times.
As you know, I was also a resident of this community some time ago. I used to operate a business just up the road. So whatever happens in this community is very dear to my heart. So these items are to support your work. Say thank you so much for what you're doing. Keep working hard to save our lives as a collective. And we hope that very soon this virus will go so that we can go back to our normal lives. But I really appreciate and I also stand on behalf of His Excellency the President to thank all of you, especially the frontline workers, for the good job you're doing. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, before we go, Joy Prime has given some 30 mothers across Ghana food and sanitary items from Wilma Africa Limited. Now, this is part of the station's appreciation to female frontline health workers on the coronavirus team. Mothers at the Noguchi Memorial Institute, Gais Municipal Hospital, the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, all in Greater Accra, and others in facilities in the Ashanti, Eastern, Bonahafo, Volta and Northern regions received bags of rice, cooking oil and boxes of soap. Hannah Odame has more in this report.
The collaboration was between Multimedia Group Limited and Wilma Africa Limited. Brand lead for food category at Wilma, Dinah Eduasari Dako, explained the rationale for the gesture.
For us, women or mothers play a key role in our business. If you look at our range of products, these are home products, and women or mothers have been the core of our business. So in this difficult time, if our media partner Multimedia is doing something to appreciate these mothers who find themselves in the front line fighting this COVID-19, for us, we see no better opportunity to show this loyal customers or to show our core target that we really appreciate them for doing business with us, and also we really appreciate what they are doing in this time. So for us, it was a great opportunity to give back to our customers or our core target.
One of the recipients at the Noguchi Memorial Institute, Dr. Evelyn Yaira Boni, said the gifts are a booster for her to keep working harder.
My biological children didn't do this, but I have a lot of other children out there. The truth is, I'm still looking for the one who nominated me. I do not know who.
So how do you feel about it?
I'm excited. I thank God that someone out there thinks I deserve this award. But the feeling is a bit mixed because I do not know who exactly. So that's just the parts. But otherwise, I'm excited and I thank God for the opportunity to be celebrated. Well, it's a lot of work and it is tiring. I mean, it's a lot of work and it is tiring. It's not easy, especially the night shifts are very hectic. But well, it's something we have to do for God and country. And so I'll tell all other people who have to do this, to do it their best way, give it their best shot, and let's just pray that this too passes soon.
Event coordinator at Multimedia, Charles Na, said though the 30 mothers were selected as winners of the Mother's Day promotion, all mothers in the institutions that the winners work in would also receive some of the items.
We are celebrating the winners mostly, and then looking at extra reasons to celebrate extra mothers. We are looking at the institutions that have been at the forefront of this fight, the ones such as Noguchi, KCCR, and the likes, Kolebu, and so we are celebrating the mothers there as well.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odame.
And that's it, the latest news update. But we do have more news as we look at stories occupying all the newspapers we have in the studio. And myself, Mama Vio Samboaje, Israel I, Joseph Akable will do all that. And then we'll bring you sports. You do know that PM Express was really a good one just last night. And what a way. Gary and George did us all the honors. We'll bring you a lot of the feedback as Benedict also comes in with the latest sports headlines, but make sure through it all you get interactive. Facebook is there, Joy News on TV. We also have same name for our Twitter handle, and Joy News TV takes you to our YouTube channel. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll do the newspapers. Well, we have to do the newspapers. I told you again, we're having Israel now a regular feature on our show now, and the young Joseph Akable getting ready to tie the knot next month is also on stream. Joseph, good morning to you. Israel, good morning.
I don't know about the wedding you are announcing.
Oh, you are denying all your girlfriends. What a shame.
I'm not denying, but you are fixing a timeline for the wedding. Good morning, Israel.
Good morning to you, Joseph. And Roland, you're becoming notorious. You should stop this. Announcing people's weddings and birthdays when they are not due.
No, as for me, I do birthdays a lot.
But you just added wedding. You just added a wedding.
Yes, because of Joseph had been indicating
Roland. Okay. We should start suing him for some of the things he says about.
Yeah. Very distinguished personalities.
But good morning, guys. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you, Israel.
Good morning. Good to see you too.
Yeah. Okay, so we're straight away going to review the papers. I'm not going to start with the graphic today, so let's see. One of you, Easy Joseph.
Well, I have the daily guide.
Okay.
I could go with it.
Go for it.
So, Nana launches 1 billion CD package, which is a stimulus package. Face mask defaulters in trouble. Ochehene bans shrines. And that's a very interesting story. I'd like to get some more details on that. COVID-19 climbs to 5,918. Well, that was until the figure was updated last night. And MPs begin COVID-19 testing today. So there's going to be mass screening of MPs for COVID-19. And also in the Daily Guide, in the center spread, there's this bullet stretched over Wendy Shea and Fantana petty fights. So we have beefs, and then we also have some petty fights within camp. And we have also in the center spread of the Daily Guide, invest in your brand outside music. Rapper, and this question, rapper asked why God didn't replace Shatta with Bonchaka. Why would anybody ask a question like that?
Surprise.
And also right there, we have group opts for Unipass suspension and Maslock loans not ex gratia. Absa Ghana introduces 50 new intelligent ATMs. And let me see which other stories we have here. So then we have, right, so let's do this Daily Statesman. Ochehene wages war against criminal voodoo priests, and COVID-19 speaker orders mass testing of MPs, parliamentary staff, and government will be transparent. President assures on 1 billion cedi COVID-19 business support. So that's what I have.
All right, let me come in with the Daily Graphic and the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Front page of the Graphic, government will protect jobs, President declares at stimulus package launch. Well, the application process starts today, May 2020, so you can put in an application. So from 20th of May to the 20th of June, that's when it's open. You can check out details of it. If you qualify, and hopefully you do, you can apply and get some money. It's not for individuals, though. It's got to be a business, not a large business. Reopening of schools, parents weigh risk. And this conversation has obviously come up again because of that directive from the GES to stakeholders for them to share, they call it strategies, just in case the president announces that ban on restrictions have been lifted, and it's just generating a whole lot of conversation. You know, we have this conversation and then we come back and then we have it again. Would you allow your child to go to school? Even the children themselves expressing a lot of fear, not wanting to go back to school. So that conversation reignited. Details of that in the paper. ECG debts cleared, 500 million Ghana cedis credit outstanding, according to the energy minister. Well, head of our energy desk, Izzy, is on the show. So, you know, with people disputing this, particularly the opposition, when we get there, we'll see what he can tell us. MPs to undergo testing for COVID-19. Father jailed 2 years for cutting son's earlobe, and this was speedily prosecuted. Center spread, address gaps in gender equality social inclusion program. That's according to a study report. Partying against COVID-19 restrictions, 19 charged in courts. Also, Samira Empowerment and Humanitarian Project donates PPE to 2 hospitals. Gan North Assembly supports vulnerable persons. Abu Abu Chief supports community, educates people. Lots of stories in the center spread of the paper. On the back page, Latter-day Saints, IRC Ghana supports KMA, and Ghana Water Company Limited restores water supply to Tema. The Ghanaian Times front page, President launches 1 billion Ghana cedis COVID-19 support fund for medium small enterprises affected by pandemic. COVID-19 tally now 5,918. Well, that's because I guess at the time they went publishing the papers, that was the figure, but overnight it's been updated. Izzy mentioned it, we're now 6,096 confirmed cases with 1,773 recoveries and 31 deaths. So they've got the death rates correct, but of course recoveries have gone up, and certainly our total case counts have also gone beyond the 6,000 mark. 158 police facilities to be disinfected in Ashanti region. Government clears 2.63 billion Ghana cedis legacy debts owed ECG. Back page, COVID-19, 624 out of 695 workers of Tema Fish Processing Company test negative. Company based in China donates assorted food supplement to Ghana Police Service. And that's how the back page of the Ghanaian Times today, Wednesday, May 2020. That's how it looks like.
Joseph?
We can do the Ghanaian Observer now. The front page of the Ghanaian Observer, it says, Akufo-Addo unveils 1 billion cedi CAP business support scheme. And Speaker orders mandatory test for MPs also on the front page. And Akufo-Addo, Pratt, Bako and Co. Mark Kumipreko at 25. Also on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer. The back page has the Man United confirmed funds to be refunded. And Shemaiko picks out Son as perfect Man United target also on the back page of the Ghanaian Observer. The Finder newspaper has the front page, 1 billion stimulus launched. Government clears all debts owed ECG as at end of 2019. And doubting COVID-19 recoveries fuels stigma, that's according to Pius Hajide. And delayed release of results cost hike in Obuasi COVID-19 cases, according to the Ghana Health Service. The back page has this story about government clearing all debts owed ECG, and acquisition of building permits goes virtual. And finally, on the back page of the Finder has a story about car powership donating to the Muslim community in Sekondi. Those are the front pages of the Finder and the Ghanaian Observer.
All right, let me quickly do the Custodian. Same related issue about the cash for SMEs. Now official 1 billion Ghana cedis. That's an excess, we can point around 180,000 US dollars. 180,000, no, 180 million US dollars, yeah. All right, as Akufo-Addo launches business support scheme, Mavi has a business, so says she will apply. Israel also has a business, so he will apply. Joseph, you have a business?
Yes.
Okay, please apply. Get your finances right. Make sure your statements and things are good.
But you're misleading people, Roland.
Please, let's go on.
Only if you feel your business has suffered because of COVID-19.
As for me, my business has suffered plenty. And I know Israel has suffered. Israel is even working from home. Usually, Israel will not work from home. So we have had this government clears over 2 billion Ghana cedi ECG debt. But I'm serious, let's get our finances in order. I'm sure that we can access, we're all business owners. Since Joseph, the youngest among us, is our role model. Even Joseph has a business. So, Charlie, we have
that?
to. Yeah, he's young.
I'm offended on his behalf.
Let me do the Daily Dispatch. It has on the front page, when the ban on public gathering is lifted, churches and schools may be closed down if protocols are not observed. And this story is on page 2. And says it talks about the numbers in terms of what the breakdowns are for cases, and Greater Accra 74% of the nationwide cases, and the schools and the churches, what could happen, etc. And you know, there's a whole caricature here, as well as a cartoon-like drawing of when school reopens, what will take place. It says it talks volumes about how pupils could be removing masks, some under the tables, and just talking to each other in a very uncontrolled way, just like all of us envisage. It's quite frightening when you watch the picture, and I'm hoping that, well, we can do something better about it. I think that'll be it for now. Any of the picks? Israel, Joe, what do you want to talk about? I want to talk about the teacher unions resisting any sort of attempts by the education authorities to reopen schools. And there was a statement that formally has been brought. We'll take a look at it. But first, let me ask the two of you, any of your picks? Israel?
I find the story on the Ochehene Ban's shrines very interesting, and I'm trying to get some more detail on it. Why exactly is the Ochehene doing that, since I don't have the paper itself?
And let me just help you by also comprehensively taking a look at what the story says. And if you read the story It says that the Ochehene has banned all ritual activities in shrines in the over 940 communities in the traditional area. And the Ochehene's action follows a recent arrest of 2 fetish priests who have been accused of murdering at least 2 people. And it's for that reason. And the 2 fetish priests, Christian Lawo Gameli, Power 1, and the others also named famous Adukono, aka Scorpion 37, all from Apipa in the Volta region. We're operating a shrine called Power 1 Herbal and Spiritual Center, located at Edu Kwejo and Kofi Nyako. And it's also because there's a statement that has been issued which indicates a violation of customary observance as to what has to be done. And according to the statement, it has been observed that over the past decade there have been the influx of immigrant ritualists disguised as traditional priests who have abused the hospitality of Ochimai. So it's basically about the activities of these shrines and what they keep doing.
So what does a ban constitute? I guess what is it?
Ultimately, to make sure that there's some sort of regulation, get to have an insight into how they operate, etc. Israel, have you ever been to a shrine? Oh, you're interested in this story? Right, great.
Never. I've never had to.
You all do remember, I don't even whether Joseph has read about it. There used to be, back in the 90s, a story about Dr. Beckley. That time, PMP used to be very much in vogue at the time. And they had serialized a number of stories about Dr. Beckley and the actions that he undertook in his home right here in Accra. And how when the police raided the place, they saw human skulls, you know, various idols, etc. And I don't know what.
But I'm just wondering. Okay, so there's a ban. Like, what does it mean? What does it translate into? So they won't operate, or what?
They are simply asking them not to operate because they've not met a certain standard. More like the central bank of the shrines ruling there that you don't meet a certain criteria, so you are not allowed to operate. I find it quite interesting. But more importantly, they are content about the fact that some of them have engaged in killings, and that's of concern to the overlord, and you can't just let that go by. And so it's a bit of interesting piece of regulation that they're executing there.
I'm curious as to how they're going to, you know, regulate them, seeing that they're talking about an influx of people, you know, aliens, people coming in and doing all sorts of things under the guise of, you know, operating a shrine, and yet they're killing people, you know. So yeah, I find it curious. How are you going to regulate that? Because it's not as if the people are going to register that I have a shrine here. Usually these things were word of mouth. They don't. Well, except a number of them are advertising. They're going on Facebook, you know, the malams and the rest. So I don't know if that's how they intend to grab them, but I find it interesting how you're going to regulate them.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking the Constitution, 1992 Constitution, grants the freedom for all forms of religion to be practiced. And if you look at what the statistics are, not only in our country, but even across the African sub-region, you get to find that there are a number of people who want to practice traditional religion. Indeed, Benin, the largest number of people in that country, majority of them are traditional religious worshippers, so to speak. So they have shrines or idols in their homes that they ascribe to. You take the Hindus and the others also, they have certain, you know...
Is this a religion? Like, are we moving into...
Yeah, I think so. I think the Ochimai need to really take a look at this, because there are people who want to ascribe to a certain form of religious practices. You can say maybe they're abusing human rights, but that should not be the ground for which we should stop people from worshipping what they want.
I don't think I saw it as a religious question. It's more of a business entity operating in an area that customary law is recognized.
It's because customary law is one of the it's not fair to the traditional worshippers.
They have the right to determine
but did you hear what he said?
What form it should take in religion.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so this boy whose father cut his ear, the father has been jailed 2 years. And the story has been captured in the Daily Graphic newspaper today. Well, of course, we reported on this as well. But the boy told the Daily Graphic on Monday that he took his father's money to enable him to visit his mother and also used part of the money to cover the cost of an excursion to Amasaman. He explained that his father had always denied him of some basic needs, and he had on some occasions taken money from his father without his knowledge. He claimed the money he stole from his father was usually not huge amounts. Well, the court presided over by Justice Bernard Bentel convicted Momoni on his own plea and sentenced him to 2 years imprisonment on each count. The sentence is to run concurrently. The judge, prior to passing the sentence, stated that the accused was a first offender and that he had shown remorse in his demeanor. He further stated that he wanted the punishment to serve as a deterrent to others. So after this story came out that this 55-year-old man who cut off his 10-year-old son's right ear for allegedly stealing his 250 Ghana cedis, people thought 2 years was not, enough for this kind of offense. And that's why the background is very important, what the judge said in the end. I guess the speedy trial of this case that it makes me happy that this has been done within this time. We've seen the end of it. Hopefully he
I think the plea too was quite important, the fact that he admitted to the offense, and so really that took the burden of prosecution having to prove its case entirely off them. The guys admitted to doing it, so right then the court has no option than to pronounce sentence. And I could understand why he went for 2 years, because obviously he's someone who has admitted that I committed a crime. He said he's also shown remorse, and being a first-time offender, I mean, we just hope that, it's the bigger conversation has to do with, which is something that we discussed not too long ago, about how modern parenting should be undertaken. That's something that I'm sure
is it also maybe compounded with the stresses of the times that we're in? Are people just frustrated and channeling those frustrations elsewhere, so that we're overdoing things,
Maybe Israel should try that, because he's at home. He's not that you had on the kids.
That is not an excuse, actually. So yeah, you may be stressed and all that, but that doesn't give you the right, or that's not an excuse for you to visit that kind of harm on your child. But for me, the bigger question is, and the concern I have, is when these courts, or when the courts deliver such judgments, my concern is about how the child is going to be taken care of. Because if we had a well-functioning social welfare system, the child will be taken out of the system, taking out of the family environment or that environment, and giving a place and taking good care of. But where you have a situation where the system is not functioning as it should, where do these children end up? Because if you're jailing the father, who's going to take care of the child? And the father the father is supposed to be the one who knows how best to take care of the child. I don't know about the mother. I don't know if the
Well, they're actually, the background is that they are divorced. So this boy was living with the father.
Okay, so it could be that the father is a breadwinner and all of. My concern is, let's fix our social welfare system. And if the system is fixed, sometimes these issues could be picked up even before it gets to the point where the child the harm is done to the child. And it appears in this country we really don't pay that much attention when it comes to social welfare system.
Okay. And talking about children, we also do know that they have to be in school, but the teacher unions, and now we even have parent-teacher associations coming together to say, look, if you're tinkering, even with the idea of reopening by the beginning of next month, don't even try it at all. They have a statement that has been dominating the front lines and the front pages over the last 12 hours. And apparently, they've given instances for which they fear that reopening the schools could result in some concerns, whether it's coronavirus cases also being reported, etc. And I want to pick your thoughts on this. And let me start with you, Joseph.
I think there are two ways to look at it. There is the realistic approach where you admit that indeed COVID-19 is here to stay. It's a part of our lives, the whole world. I mean, we are having discussions about returning to playing football again because we want to do the things that we usually do. That's a realistic conversation to have. On the other hand, too, it's an equally realistic view. That is the fact that these schools have the potential to be serious breeding grounds for the spread of the virus, especially due to the way our public school systems particularly are run. And that is the concern that I get from that letter from the teacher unions, the point that they make over there, that is simply impossible. You have teachers and students coming from different areas, different parts of the community, all coming into the same room. And at the lower level where students, would they understand what social distancing is? Do they understand that they can't touch their friend anymore because of a certain virus that is out there in town? And so there are two competing issues that we need to look at critically. And for me, then the fact that we keep on having a rise in cases, and I don't think we have a firm grasp and idea of the extent of spread in such a manner that we have to be comfortable in saying that it's time to go out there. We may take a bit of time on the bit about the schools, because especially for the lower levels, at the higher level, maybe we may consider, especially with how the online studies is going, but for the lower level of education, I tend to side more with the teacher unions on this particular matter. That, I mean, we shouldn't be thinking about this at this point in time.
And Israel, it seems to be that our concern mainly is with the public schools. And when you gauge the views of parents who mainly have their children in private schools, they seem to think that it will be okay if they should resume beginning of June.
All right, so with the parents, I'm not sure the parents are eager to have the kids go to school, resume school that quickly. But the other question that I would also like us to bring up to do with the private teachers, the teachers in the private schools. So whilst the public schools, they can afford to say, yeah, we shouldn't resume anytime soon. But then those in the private schools, the 94,000 who are likely to lose jobs, or some of them have lost their jobs and are not getting paid, they're concerned, and they would wish that things would move quickly. But those in the public sector, yeah, they get paid whether school is in session or not. And so we have to find the balance. And one of those who I've already indicated that I'm not keen on seeing the schools reopening, or I don't intend to see my kids go back to school anytime soon until we're convinced that things, the right protocols have been put in place, and we feel that we've come to believe that the environment is safe enough for them. So yes, let's consider all the factors.
Well enough. We'll have to look at Mamavi. We have to look at myjoyonline.com, get the latest update. On myjoyonline.com, we have all the updates there. Throughout the rest of the day, you can't go there. But, well, you know of the cases there where we've reached now 6,096. I saw it and I thought, oh, we're flattening. So I'm thinking, these are backlog cases. But I'm not a member of the... So, all right. Other stories also dominating the pages. Bwachijang released after police interrogation after
he's actually been charged with offensive conducts by the police.
Doctor who recovered from COVID-19 shares near-death experience, also occupying that portal, myjoyonline.com, foremost portal. Parliament to test all MPs and staff for coronavirus. And then the Apple story is still dominating, still trending there. And the Tema Fish Processing Company to reopen after COVID-19 mass testing. And look, we have to take a break. The numbers are up though, 6,096. Looks frightening, but I'm thinking it's flattening.
Okay, I don't know about flattening. Let's get into the peaks and flats. But one story that I find missing on the front page on My Joy Online has to do with Bishop Daniel Bini's arrest, which came up yesterday. Yeah. So it's supposed to be in there. And then we can also leave the show without talking about the show that the Joy Sports team put together last night.
Absolutely. It's been trending.
It's so trending.
yeah, and it's great. So kudos, congratulations to all the guys who made it possible.
Who made it happen.
Charlie.
Yeah. There will be name stories in the Daily Graphic, by the way. It's on page 36. The fact that he's been granted bail.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been in and out. This is not the first time. He was in 2016, in 2018, and then this is 2020.
Yes, I know, right? We're talking about Benin. That's where we have to call it a morning. Israel and Joe, thank you. Make sure you use hand sanitation so that you'll be in a better...
Which one is that?
Hand sanitation. Jesus Christ are watching. You people, make sure that you do the right things. And then,
right, thank you very much.
And read the Hebrews.
And then Mary and Joseph, you can find them in Genesis. Please go and read your Bible well.
Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. We've got a repeat of PM Express after the AM show at 9 a.m. So if you missed it, you watched it, but you want to watch it again, of course you should watch it again.
Fantastic show.
It's after the AM show. But we'll bring you some of the conversations in sports, which is right after this. And it's a Wednesday, so we've got AM Business right after sports. Stay with us.
Right.
Hello there, welcome to the business segment of the AM show, which comes your way every Wednesday. Now, more than 500,000 eggs sits at the farm gates and various markets across the country, rotting away as an egg glut hits the country. Ashanti region has the largest population of large-scale poultry farmers, numbering about 13. Producers say the COVID-19 pandemic has affected sales and want government to intervene.
Eggs. Several eggs at the railway market Kumasi go bad as a glut hits the country from COVID-19. The hardest hit in the value chain are women. They are here sitting outside waiting for customers who may never come in these COVID times. More than 90% of sellers are women who say they are losing thousands of Ghana cedis. These are eggs which should have been bought within a day. However, they have been here for over 5 days.
A lot is had been in the system. So we were trying to plead into the authorities. We have a lot of people, the donors, that they are giving money to others, they are giving free food to others, that they also coming into our aid. Why? Because we are all aware that eggs reduce our immune system. So if they also turn their attention into our side and buy some of the eggs we have the orphanages, they can give it to them, that's one. We have the frontline fighters, that is the doctors and nurses that they are taking care of the COVID patients. They also can take some so that it will induce their immune system to fight against the disease. And then we have the prisoners as well, we can give them to them. And they are needy one. There are some people that they cannot even get money to buy one egg. They wait until it's Xmas or Easter before they can get one egg to eat. So those people too, the authority can also help us so that we buy these eggs for them and they also get their immune system to fight against the disease that we are all thinking about.
They used to be bought cash and carry, but they are currently being given out on credit and the various experiences are bad.
Customers kakra yɛde bi kɔ nkran yɛde bi kɔ takorade takwa prestia ne ade nti wo customer wɔ hɔ a wo hwɛ abebu so no na ɔtwe bi yɛde bɛbrɛw nti na ɛsa won so wodi bi kɔ moma wɔn nti obi wɔ hɔ a wotiri yi a ɔyɛ no kwafo ɔbɛtɔn no de usika abrɛw obi wɔ so obedi fa obi wɔ kora o metua kora before Christmas yɛ wɔ ha yɛ tokosi abrantie bi efra na adu jamfi wo ba baako wo bɛtɔ a utua na ɔsan ba biem ɔne maame bi di dwa wɔ ha abante ne bɛto yɛ mrada sesa akosi a wɔ ha nyina de kɔ yɛnte ne nka biem wo fra no kora so onimu sese ano ne ayehia aban ne so ne sɛ ɔbɛboa yɛn so ɔma da hospitals na ɔmo ntumi ntokosi ne bi no aban bɛboa na watɔ na wakyekya ama wɔm
aka ne the first kosi a day e betuma to more than 1,000 crates say kosi aba 50 crates akɔso na 100 yentokusi ano kra tiama adwuma ne ye ayetin sisi de papai ne de se dodo na yetugu epise wunya ba bia emfa nko First, now come on, we are doing we boy, and she say, no, most of the iron. Because you're the quiet, and we be home. Because I say on top. Into 2 hours to be car na yebo. Me imagine how me say over 1 billion. Our come. Men sanka. Oba china. Oba kono so sa ontia. Come on, so ya den a obagini sika. E be say no do third diane. Ama abo na di no asade abele. Enti ye wo hande nipa bebree de ka. Nipa bebree hwe ye omo de ka ohun be mu so de ka. Oba kono so sa obu twakwan a on sanka.
Hajia Amina Haruna tells me this would have been a time when the market has excess eggs, but not to this extent. She adds some 50,000 crates were picked by the gender ministry during the lockdown, but since then virtually no one is buying the eggs.
Every year we had a glut of eggs. Usually start from April, May, June, July, up to November. When they sell some of the birds, then it comes down. But it's usually every year.
It looks like this year is worse because of the COVID-19. Can you give us an idea about how bad it is currently?
It's true. This year, since January, because of the disease, nobody is coming. So unfortunately for us, government too came and collect part of it, which is not all what we want. So after the collection of the little they can, the rest has been stopped. So we are still on the glut. Yeah. There's no way for us to take it because the borders have been closed. Previously, when the borders were there, we can take some to Aflao or Burkina, but now the borders have been closed, so we can't take them anywhere. Yeah.
How is this affecting your business as somebody who constantly does this kind of business?
It's affecting us too much because we have brokerages, damages, nobody is buying them. So we have to take them home and eat some. And then some too, we can't eat them because of the lockup.
The Ashanti region has the largest number of large-scale poultry farmers out of the 29 across the country. We have come to Asante Bekwai, where one of the 13 large-scale farms are. Santak farm alone has 225,000 birds here. Majority are layers. Average industry egg production is 250 eggs per layer per day. The average cost per kilogram of producing broilers in Ghana estimated at 15 Ghana cedis for large-scale producers and higher for small-scale producers. Ghana produces more than 78 million birds. Well, guess what? About 80% of these birds are layers. It means several eggs in the market during these COVID times. In this poultry farm alone, we have over 40,000 eggs. That's a crate of eggs waiting to be bought. To the market? No, because in the market women cannot pick these huge numbers. This is actually a production of about a week, and the farmers are helpless. They don't know where to send these eggs as there's currently a glut.
The market has been closed, and the market women are not being allowed to sell their eggs. So it's causing us a huge problem. Right now, for them to come for their eggs is a problem, and movements too is being restricted. At least we will have about 4,000 eggs of trays per day.
So what's going to happen? How are you going to dispose of these eggs?
If things don't change, we have no option.
Debts have begun piling for women who have taken loans.
You know that this work demands a lot of financing, and most of our finances are from banks. And now the eggs is the money that we use, the eggs money is the money that we use to pay those loans. But now, they are not buying the eggs. So it continues to lie at the farms and the markets as you witness with it. So it's affecting our business. What we are doing now is we make it as a contract. to get a lot of the eggs for people to do. So we are advertising the places that they need eggs. We just call all of them, make arrangements to collect a lot of them, and then we give it. We have also been to government also to help us, because last month when the lockdown was there, we were able to see the government officials to give us Minister of Agraria all in with us, and Gender Ministry, to see her. They give us about a contract of 50,000 eggs so that they'll be given to the needy. And Ashanti Region here too, they collected some of our eggs. We gather it for them also to buy so that it will reduce the tension that is in the system.
Over 500,000 eggs across the country are not being bought, and many more add to the numbers daily. The layer industry is currently the relic left of the poultry industry. Ghana imports more than 60% of cut chicken in a year. In 2018 alone, the imported number was 61%, though a policy document indicates 60%. This had to go on to bridge the gap or to augment the imported needs of the country. Majority of the importation is from the United States of America. Ghana used to export poultry about 20 years ago. As it stands now, the country spends close to $400 million every year importing chicken. Ghana also imports about 70% of its day-old chicks, making the layer market the only sector really thriving. The coronavirus has dealt a big blow to the sector with the various closures, and it will take a huge support from government to revive it.
And that's it for this week. That's AM Business. We bring you business every Wednesday here on the AM show. Coming up next is AM Talk. We're talking about all the big national issues here on our show. Meet our guests, Member of Parliament for Mpraeso. He also chairs the Defence Committee of Parliament. Mr. Seth Acheampong is on our show this morning. There he is. Also joining us, Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini. He's the MP for Tamale Central, ranking member, Constitutional Legal Parliamentary Affairs Committee. Well, they're lucky. They're getting the COVID-19 tests done, and there are some members who are even asking for their spouses to be included. Is that fair? Well, there are plenty other conversations that we're having, including the reports of the vetting of judges. That conversation is in Parliament this morning. Before that, we have our own conversation, so don't miss it. Stay with us.
And I tell you, you can get all the updates right here through our social media platforms. We're talking Joy News on TV, on Facebook, and please make sure you log on now. We're also on Twitter at Joy News on TV. You can watch us live through Joy News TV on YouTube. You get all the updates. So don't worry, just in case you're transitioning out of the house, you can keep it updated. If it's in your car, please make sure that you get some things that will hook your phone onto your dashboard so you can just listen while you drive. It's very important. We're also getting all the latest updates when it comes to all the related issues. Now, let's get the discussion going. We do have the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, ranking member for the Constitutional Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, also a legal practitioner, Nusaf Hussaini, right here. Mr. Hussaini, how are you?
Well, I'm good.
Great. You look good. And then we also do have Seth Acheampong. He is also an entrepreneur and also has long-standing participation in politics with the MPP, Member of Parliament from Mpraeso, Chairman, Defence and Interior Committee. They make sure that, you know, the contract that come for buying Airbuses and all those things go through them. He's here. Sato, how are you?
I'm very well, Roland. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm able to call him Sato because we've known each other for a very long time. You're so contesting, are you, in Mpraeso?
Sure.
Okay, no mischief on my part. I'll leave that. John Boydo was here on Monday, so we're able to have a nice conversation.
Oh, great.
I wanted to bring your case up, but he says no problem. All right, so let's get it going, and a number of things that should occupy our minds, but let me just get a minute from the two of you. Our case count is now 6,096, I believe. Okay. 96, so yeah, it's just behind us. So
okay.
Just good. And we all live in Greater Accra. We have extensions because of the work that we all do outside Accra. We're flattening, aren't we? You are defense. So health is a defense problem.
According to the last assessment by the professionals, they think we are really at the apex now. That's their analysis they offered.
So these are apex figures?
We're hoping so. You can't, if people follow the protocols, we adhere to the protocols and respect that me wearing this nose and mouth mask is also a right that I must try to partake in to ensure that I protect myself, I protect my colleague, I protect yourself. So these are things we all have to, follow through, as well as the making sure the regular washing of hands with soap. If you can't buy a sanitizer, at least you bath each and every morning or evening. So a regular washing of your hands, making that part and parcel of your daily living. I'm very positive we will continue to do that. It is no joke, it has come. It is something which, if you look all over the globe today, everybody, every network, every media network you chanced on, you cannot sit behind it for beyond 10 to 15 minutes. This wouldn't be the subject being discussed. So we should all be very careful with it.
All right. And
yes, I agree with you that we are flattening. Even though we are increasing at a slower rate. And so,
really?
Yes, increasing at a slower rate. The last time, only 31 cases were added to the existing cases. We used to record 200 additional cases, 150, now 31. So we are flattening. The curve is not coming down, but it's not growing. At
an astronomical
rate. And the recoveries too are increasing. But that doesn't mean that we should lose our guards. Everybody is talking about a second wave, that if we don't take precautionary steps, we might be hit by a second wave. Nobody knows when the vaccine will come. Scientists have said that the vaccine is 12 to 16 months away. And until a vaccine comes, the world will never be the same. So we have to adhere to the protocols. Social or physical distancing, you wearing nose masks. I'm not wearing mine. I've not brought mine. Then we have to also ensure that we wash our hands. When I was coming, I just heard a report that if you are able to wash your hands about 5 or 6 times in a day, the chance of you contracting it is significantly reduced. And use hand sanitizers, ensure that we stay at home if we have nowhere going. And where we have to go to shopping, we maintain a safe distance from other people. When coughing, cover your mouth and your nose with either a handkerchief or a tissue or your elbow. Avoid touching your mouth and your eyes or putting your hands in your nose.
You seem to know all the protocols. Well, that's good. Very well educated. But let's start from Parliament. And just yesterday, we were getting all the aggregated information. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our lead correspondent there, that you parliamentarians have been ordered by your speaker to take a test alongside your staff. And it's one of the foremost means. I was thinking it should have even been done before now. But comprehensively, what's the plan among you before now?
Well, I agree with you. And that is the problem with Ghana. That is the problem why we have gone to where we are. Because we are taking reactionary steps instead of proactive steps. Parliament adjourned on 1st May. Everybody knew that we were to come back on 19th May. Now, nobody knows where each and every member of Parliament went. Nobody knows where our family members went. And so the risk of members of Parliament contracting the COVID-19 disease or COVID-19 was significantly high when we went on recess. And so I had thought, I think I spoke on your network or other networks, I had thought that the best way to treat this issue was for Parliament to have invited us yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, Monday, a day before we officially resumed, to test all members of Parliament. And before yesterday. They've not done that. Yesterday we met, we transacted business, we met at committee, And so if anybody was carrying the virus, he was spreading the virus yesterday. And so you see how we are reactionary. If they do the test and they realize that some members of parliament have contracted the disease, then they have to quarantine almost all members of parliament. And that's a reactionary way of doing things. But better late than never. Let's see our status, whether we will come out negative or positive, and what steps to be taken to ensure that we prevent not only other members of parliament, but also our families and those we come into contact with.
But Mr. Champo, by this time, I mean, you guys are big men. You men and women in the legislature are big men. So I'm sure many of you have privately undergone the test procedures or regimen already.
I think we all have to appreciate that this novel coronavirus is one thing that has taken the world by storm. And your guess is as good as mine. The superpowers that be do not even have capacity to really run the test. And at the outset, everybody got themselves struggling. And so I am quite cool that where we are now, Parliament, and for us, and my colleague, like my colleague said, and which is tried knowledge, since the outbreak of this pandemic, we have been at our work and we did not really break. We just went home on a 2-week break, and in the heat of it, we had to support the executive to ensure that the various measures that the executive were undertaking had the necessary legal backing, and to support them to deploy measures that will help us as a country get to where we are today. And so it has come to me as a good news now that within the space we work, we are going to have all of us to put to test. I think some measures were taken earlier. Colleagues of ours who had traveled out of the jurisdiction had returned were asked not to come to work. They were asked to do self-quarantine when the pandemic started.
They'll be back in February and March.
Yeah, somewhere March, April. We were still sitting in the house, and so we were asked to stay away. And we all go back. We all go through our daily chores, through the normal day's exercise. And you see, this is a viral exercise, and it could be here even as we sit here, no matter how you sanitize the place. So the most important thing is that we should adhere to the protocols. But I think it has come as a good news to some of us, because we have to ensure that we test each and every person working within the legislature and the parliamentary service as well.
Yeah, and then Mr. Fuseni, curiously though, I would want to know, and over the period we even talked to you, you were exercising on the hills and trying to get yourself fit because it's your daily routine.
Yep.
But ultimately, you should have been given some protocols as members of parliament, knowing that I think your work entails meeting masses, meeting people you have never met before officially in the legislature, and then also meeting yourselves. So what were the laid down protocols even before this announcement on Tuesday?
Well, so what Parliament did when this pandemic broke and the President instituted measures, Parliament itself decided to scale down the number of workers that we were in Parliament. So to limit the number of people that will come into contact with. And so all our supporting staff, especially members of Parliament, were asked to go home. I went home at the end of February. She's not returned. I don't need her in Parliament. The work that she used to do for me, I do it myself. You will not see many staff members in the chamber because the reduced, and even if you are in the chamber, they are confined to the back of the chamber. They are not supposed to walk around and mingle, except where you want a document or they want you to sign a document. And so, yes, some protocols have been put in place to ensure that the numbers are reduced significantly in Parliament so that we maintain social distancing by default. If the numbers are not made, you will encounter many people. And then, just yesterday, when we went to Parliament, there was a conscious, deliberate attempt to ensure a form of social distancing. You realize that if you sat on your seat, to the seat to your left and the seat to your right would not be occupied. In fact, before we resumed on yesterday, I had said that it was important for leadership to engage the speaker.
Right.
Now, elsewhere in the British Parliament, that is what is done. Now, so we are 275. The minority members of Parliament are 106. We could do good protocol or good arrangement if we decided that only 58 of the 106 members of Parliament from the minority side must always be in Parliament. Then you have the 67 or so.
Being half of the majority.
Yes, of the majority, half of the majority, two being there. That way, you wouldn't need to announce that we should maintain social distance. Clearly, we will be able to sit, transact business, and then for 1 week or so, the other half will come. Leadership can always be there, or they can make some members of Parliament, like in Britain, they can make some members of Parliament permanent members and always add to the members of Parliament. Because you see, this pandemic is like that. Nobody knows when it will attack. Nobody. I mean, and you can pick it anywhere. Insofar as people move. When the disease made its famous movement from animals to human, when it jumped to human, we have not been able to control it. And human, because we move, globalization has exacerbated the ravaging effect of the pandemic. I'm told that if you are below 50 years, you stand 1% chance of dying from COVID-19. If you are above 50 years, the chances is more than 13%. If you are 80 years, it could be about 30-something%. And so, yes, until we come out with a vaccine, until the scientists come up with a vaccine, and we are hearing promising results of tests being carried out, we need really to be very careful.
Okay, let me just get a pick from you, maybe 30 seconds. The shots from Parliament, this is how it looks. This is good social distancing by your judgment enough?
Yes, you can realize that apart from the front bench, even in the majority front bench, you have only 2 members seated there, which is normally 4 members sitting there.
Okay.
And the minority too, you have averagely 3 people. And it is all spread out. The subsequent front benches, you could see purely the front bench being displayed. The first 2-3 benches, more or less the front benches, are all being displayed. And you can see that members are, most who are not in the chamber presently are in their offices at Job 600 following proceedings. And it is one of the ways we've been using to help ourselves. Officially, that is not a statement made on the House floor, but to encourage social distancing. If you don't have a very serious business on the House floor, and the matter at the floor being discussed, if you can stay away and promote social distancing. I go with the counsel of my consultant. And this staff is my consultant, so I go with his counsel. And you can appreciate that, yes.
Okay, we'll still have to remain, and I want us to spend just about 5 minutes on the subject, about the appointments committee bringing a report on especially what their conclusions are as they sat through the vetting process for 4 nominees. And we do know that ultimately they all exhibited good skills while doing the interaction. You may say some members within the numbers would have a concern or two, but generally, what do you expect to see in that report ultimately?
Well, the report was late. I had a copy on my desk. I don't know what I was given an advance copy.
Have you gone through?
I've not gone through.
But you monitored the proceedings?
Very well, and I have formed an opinion already. I mean, I have said that if given the opportunity, I will talk to the performance of my own professor, Professor H.A.N. Mensah-Bonsu, Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu. I mean, she acquitted herself so well. I mean, we didn't expect anything less. I mean, I didn't expect anything less. I have known her for a very long time. I mean, at a point, I even used her as my reference. I spoke to Mubarak, who was asking the questions, and she said, look, I had to stop asking Professor Mensah Bonsu questions because any question I asked, she anticipated, as if she anticipated the question. And she gave me a reply that I couldn't ask further questions. So, and then she said, oh look, even when I thought that I had nailed her, because I asked her when she was supposed to retire from the university, she said, oh yes, I was supposed to retire 6 months ago or at a particular point in time. But you see, the university runs calendar years. And so even if your retirement comes in the middle of the calendar year, you are entitled, you are supposed to complete the academic year before you retire. And so that's why you see that I retired when I was above retirement age, because we were still within the process. Then look, the woman is sharp, and she knows exactly what. I mean, I have no doubt that her nomination will be confirmed by Parliament, and so the President will appoint her to the Supreme Court. I have no doubt that her contribution when she gets to the Supreme Court will further enrich the jurisprudence of this country. Professor Mensah Bonsu has tremendous experience in criminal jurisprudence. Tremendous. I mean, and we want to see how she helps shape the jurisprudence of this country in fighting crime. Professor Mensah Bonsu also has a lot of views on how the imposition of custodial sentences. I got to know that long ago, not now, 20 years ago. She said, look, you can't incarcerate a person for stealing a finger of banana.
But it's still ongoing.
And where we're still incarcerating.
She's trained many lawyers.
And that you send that person to jail, and you are feeding that person more than the cost of the finger of banana. Why don't you let that person provide community service so that he actually pays for the infraction of the law? I mean, does it make economic sense to send somebody to jail for the net wealth of an article he has stolen, which is far lesser than the amount of money you are going to use to feed that person? And so I have no doubt. But again, you come to think about Hunuga, Clements Hunuga, and you think that there's something fundamentally wrong.
Why?
With, all of us as people say things and regret, do things and regret. Remorsefulness is part of the demeanor of a person who is standing criminal trial in informing or motivating a court to impose a lighter sentence. And so, why will a person show remorsefulness when an act that the person has done is brought to the attention of the person says, oh yes, I think that I didn't give it proper due care and thought. Probably I would have done it differently. Then you know that, oh, you ought not, you have now come to realize that you ought.
And you are making this in reference to his comments before?
Before.
What was wrong with the comment?
Everything was wrong with the comment.
Oh, he's a traditional.
No. Everything
traditional
was
ruler.
In fact,
in that capacity as a traditional ruler.
It's wrong.
Because of his capacity in the other.
No, even his capacity as a traditional ruler is wrong. He was a dabbling in politics. There's a mandatory prohibition against chiefs.
But they do it all the time.
But that's impunity.
Why?
You want to encourage impunity?
Why should justice?
You want to encourage impunity? The fact that they do it and do it with impunity means we should let it go. And so if a traditional leader is not of the stature of Justice Onoga and does that, you can excuse that traditional leader. But if Justice Onoga, who is a traditional leader, does that, he's presumed to know the law. You understand? So even traditionally, it's wrong. And then judicial officer, you are supposed to administer justice without fear nor favor. And then when you appear before a vetting committee, they put questions to you. And then you answer them with a tinge of dishonesty. It goes to the Article 1284.
It depends on who is
no, but if they ask
assessing.
You, no, if they ask you
what
who wrote the statement
responses.
for you, if they ask you who wrote the statement for you, and you say you can't remember.
But he can't remember.
And then and they ask you who delivered the statement to you, you say you can't remember. He said, did you read the statement? He said, yes, but I didn't concentrate on the content. So if the statement were to call for the arrest of Nana Akufo-Addo, you will read it. You will read it. You will remember the content. Because it was to endorse Nana Akufo-Addo.
That would have been an oversight. It's forgivable.
Yeah, but you just say that, look, well, I think that, yes.
Are you looking at this because of his stature?
No, I'm looking at this because of Article 128. And it's important for us to read Article 128 to your listeners so that you will know that, I mean, becoming a lawyer is a tedious matter. I mean, 5 years at the law school and faculty is very difficult. It's tedious. And so I will not fault a judge for an indiscretion if it was honestly done. But if the indiscretion was motivated by dishonesty, I'm entitled to comment on it. So you see, Article 1284 says that a person shall not be qualified. You see, it starts with a mandatory prohibition. A person shall not be qualified for appointment as a justice of the Supreme Court unless he is of a high moral character. So if you are dishonest, you can't be of a high moral character.
Who determine is of high moral character and proven integrity?
If you cannot remember who wrote a statement for you, you think that is honesty?
Based on your assessment?
Well, I'm just saying that we are using the objective standard, not subjective. If you say that you can't, and proving integrity. If you lie, you can't have integrity.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that somebody will be made a traditional ruler of his own community if among all the people who emanate, come from there, live there, and he's not of high integrity?
First of all, traditional leadership has one defining quality, which is in the Constitution. A person must hail from the appropriate family or lineage. It's very defining. So if you have a class of morons in the family or lineage, one of them, the least affected, will be a chief. Because you can't go outside that.
So you're saying, forgive my word, we can have a stupid monarch?
But you have never seen that. In the history of monarchy, you have not seen stupid monarchs. You have not seen it.
I've read about it, especially
I'm not like that.
The British monarchy.
Yeah. So,
a lot of them had been imbeciles.
But because you had to choose from them.
But the attribution, if
William the Orange, the reason why he revolted against them
was because there was a lot of inbreeding at the time because they married among themselves.
They are just using that as the inbreeding has been with us, even still is with us. They're just using that as an excuse to show that the lack of mental capacity of the damn monarchs was because of inbreeding. No, it was just because they were privileged. And when a person is so privileged, he loses the sense of appreciation of the trials and tribulations of other human beings. But in any case, I'm saying that if you look at the chieftaincy, the provision dealing with chieftaincy, and if you look at the provision dealing with appointment to the Supreme Court, they all require some defining characteristics.
Some finesse.
Defining characteristics. Because a chief, you must hail from the appropriate lineage or family or lineage. A Supreme Court judge, you must have proven high moral character and proven integrity. And 15 years at the bar. After that, it's a given. Because if you are not 15 years, you can't get to the Supreme Court. And so, a judge, when you are made a judge, and those listening high court judges, and Court of Appeal judges, you are on the way to the Supreme Court. Your integrity and moral character must be matters that you must protect with your own life. Because you see, even those, I've been a legal practitioner, even those who have been nominated to the Supreme Court, go to the bar and listen. Just go to the bar.
So if you were the oversight authority, you wouldn't have approved him?
Justice Funaga. Yes. Why? Why will I approve him? Even today, if I'm given an opportunity to talk in Parliament, I will advocate for us not to approve him.
Justice
not that I don't think that he's a good judge, but I think that he failed in the litmus test.
Please, 5 minutes for you. If you can take 3, that'll be better.
I think the Excellency, the President of the Republic, has really thought through all the people he's elevating to the Superior Court and ultimately to the Supreme Court of the Republic. And with the consultations and advices that he arrived at these choices, I want to thank the President for such wonderful citizens of our land being given the opportunity. As human, we may err, but to err, we will say, is human. So if Justice Honyanuga, my colleagues feel, and from their narrative and the opinion being expressed, is that he has meddled in partisan politics. Like Gustav was saying, Honorable...
No problem. That's my name.
I agree. Most people don't call you that. So what I want to arrive at is this.
Mr. Inusa Hussein.
Lawyer Inusa Hussein.
No, call me Inusa Hussein. Are you have a friend? Seth. Why?
Okay.
You have to be too nice. but I'm not actually saying that because he's dabbling in politics. I'm saying that when he was given the opportunity, he ought to have just said yes.
So you're saying erring the first time, fine. But the second time,
you shouldn't.
So that is where we differ in opinion. I am of the opinion that he did not err. He puts the facts as the record should capture it. Mind you, where we sit in Parliament, it's a house of record. And it's a house of record. And in ensuring that we do things properly, we must make sure that we go by the rules. And mind you, this is the angle and square of legality. You don't have to perjure yourself. You must make sure you give the facts as they stand. And so I was congratulating the President for giving us such statesmen who really understand their job. And technically, none of them, the nominees, all of them discharged themselves. Juni Kulindi did very well. Sidi Tanku, excellent. All of them. And
so says that you are trying to use 3 excellent ones to give credence to the 4th one.
You see, that is the beauty of democracy.
Fantastic.
We should all have our day.
That's beautiful democracy.
We should all have our day.
Beautiful democracy.
We should all have our day.
And we all do know that we're within the period. And just the latter part of Tuesday, we had, I don't know, amalgamated teacher unions, you know, coming forcefully to detest any attempt by the Ghana Education Service, with its oversight ministry, the Ministry of Education, and generally government, to try to tinker with the idea of opening schools for basic as well as senior high school and even tertiary. And they forcefully put that in the statement. We'll put the statement on the screen for you. And you get to know that comprehensively what they are saying is that, look, if you benchmark what the situation is, not only in Ghana, but with the rest of the world, there are too many indicators giving us all the inclination. Look, we can fail if we just open the Pandora's box. We want to have a ranking on Parliament Education Committee on the line. Dr. Park, he's on stream, and we're zooming him. Good morning to you. Deputy Ranking Dr. Apak.
Yes, good morning, Roland.
How are you, Solu? Solu?
Good morning to viewers.
Solu.
Solu Nalonwa Kubasa.
That's why I fail. Okay. And I'm sure.
You say Solu Nalom.
Solu Nalom. Yeah, it's a long time. You've given me some pito, so it's been a while. I've forgotten my lines. But
you're not a bull man. You don't have to worry yourself. He's bothering you with bull this morning.
Now, let's get to the basics. And you have read a statement of the 3 teacher unions, and subsequently other statements coming from think tanks. What do you make of it? The position of the stakeholders out there.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my opinion on what is going on in the educational sector and what the information that has come out to the effect that, plans are being put in place to consider reopening schools by the end of this month. I must say off the bat that I side with the teacher unions who have now been joined by the Private School Teachers Association and indeed the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations. They have a legitimate case to make. And I believe very strongly that if you look at the dynamics that we are dealing with currently, and you factor in the nature, architecture, and systems that we have in as far as our public school system is concerned, vis-a-vis this pandemic, and the lack of what I would describe as adequate preparation, even within the context of frontline health workers and their needs, it makes it very difficult for any teacher who truly cares about students, any parent, rightly so, who would naturally care about his wards, to say that schools should reopen when we have not seen anything concrete being done to ensure that if schools are indeed reopened, whilst we are still contending with this pandemic, we will not end up exposing students, teachers, and non-teaching staff to the coronavirus. For example, just a few quick examples. Even before the advent of COVID-19, you and I and many other Ghanaians were fully aware of the challenges that we were facing, particularly in the secondary school system and the basic school system. Secondary school system, for example, we have been contending with issues to do with space. Space in the dormitories, enough spaces in the classrooms, enough spaces in the dining halls, and what have you. And so how are we going to address this challenge when we are dealing with a virus that requires that we maintain physical distance, or if you like, social distance? A virus that will require that in as much as possible, we avoid interactivity. So these are practical issues that must be considered.
Okay, just be on stream. Now, Seth, let me ask you. Look, we're practicing double track. We can still do that. Have even a 4th track, a 5th track, where we decide to space out the students, segment them in 4 or 5 groupings, and we'll still have a good educational system in the public level.
I mean, Roland, a while ago I ended my last commentary with the beauty of democracy. It's sharing of ideas. Nobody is sitting with any decision cast in stone. No, it's still a conversation. And we have to understand the managers as well. You should understand the economy we're living in today. It is not easy. And we are not an isolation in the globe. People are taking measures and steps to ensure that we get children. Look, day in, day out, we are maturing. Time is passing us by.
So you're discounting the concerns of the teacher unions? They have a grouping and a membership who sits in the classrooms, and their experiences indicate that, look, it's just not good enough if you're tinkering with the idea.
Nobody is tinkering with any form of idea. We follow the measures that would help us maintain good health and public safety for our people. Who asked that the schools to be closed? The same administration. For what reasons? to protect them and make sure that lives were fully and well protected. Nobody will rush into throwing wards and children back into school. Let's sometimes remember that the people who manage and take these decisions are parents themselves. And so we should not for a second assume that somebody is living somewhere on a different planet and do not appreciate the times we live in. Every decision, every action that have been taken is well thought through before we arrive at a decision. And so it is good. But this behavior and attitude of rushing to the microphone sometimes, excuse my language, I think it's not helping this country grow. It's not helping this country grow the least.
You're saying parents, teachers,
I'm not saying
and those who are administrators of school don't have a say.
I made
a key concern.
I made a very useful.
And that the only person with wisdom are those serving in governance and the structures.
Below the point. I never said so.
Okay.
My concern is this. Remember that the managers themselves are parents, and they would never take a decision that will affect the lives of our people. Every step we have taken in this exercise has been in the interest of our public safety. And that is key. We shouldn't lose sight of that fact. It is good to express ourselves and demonstrate our intentions so that everybody can buy into. That's why I said that is the beauty of democracy. But that shouldn't be an enforcement. And like I'm saying, we are not the only country who is running an educational system. In some areas, in some countries,
South Korea,
some level of students have been asked to go back to school. And so we should appreciate this. We shouldn't just be sitting back and fold our hands and sit back and think that manna will fall from heaven. It never happens this way anywhere.
Well, we've been told.
An economy.
The World Health Organization says that, look, we have to live with this. Schools, well, for private schools, maybe the parents can impress on the administrators, the owners of the schools to do that. But for public schools, well, you can just imagine.
Imagining
Kajano 1, Kajano 2, Kajano 3, Kajano 4.
Imagining what will happen is the reason why the parents are raising the concern. Imagine Kajano 1, 2, 3, 4, and their students are gathering at school, coming from different areas, with different homes, whose parents probably have been exposed, whose parents are traders. So that is why they are raising the concern. You see, globalization has brought to the fore the need for all of us to cooperate and to learn from others. France reopened. They are shutting down again. Because the first day they opened, about 70 students caught the virus. So they're shutting down again. Now South Korea is doing it gradually. South Korea class size, even before COVID-19, was significantly lower than our class size. So
China has
a big population. But big population, but class size low. Class size. Even China in Wuhan, when they opened and the second wave came, they decided to do what? To test the 11 million people in Wuhan. 11 million people in Wuhan. So you need resources to be able to do that. Now, you see, why we are worried, my dear brother said, is that the World Health Organization has also warned that African countries have weak health systems. And because we have weak health systems, if the pandemic's full force is felt in Africa, the impact will be disastrous. And that because we have weak health systems and we are not yet facing the full force of the pandemic, we should do everything to contain the spread of the pandemic, because our hospitals, our health facilities will not be able to withstand. And we are also poor countries. And that is why for African countries, prevention is better than cure. And that's why people are concerned. And so for me, our educational system is already stretched. I mean, without COVID-19, our education, bare bucks were killing students.
No, but we have good private schools that tend to complement others.
Well, I think that the government is talking about public schools.
Yes, we're all talking about public schools.
The government said it's reopening schools.
No, but they're collating the ideas. That's how it starts.
No, but the point is that it's work in progress, and you have to understand that at every stage,
they should first of all kill the bare bucks.
There will be a decision out there.
They should kill the bare bucks first.
And so.
Because before they
you're saying that we're putting the cart before the horse.
Certainly.
Right.
Certainly.
Okay, Dr. Park. So
yes, Milan.
So you seem to be siding with the parents and the unions, but the reality is that once we have to live with a certain disease, we have to do things in such a way that we live within our means, while also we get society going. The kids are home, chopping free food, having an impact.
Not necessarily.
Having an impact in the pockets of what is available by way of monetary resources in the home. It's got a lot of significant effects. While also they are losing good education.
Roland, don't get me wrong. Don't get the parents wrong. Don't get the teachers wrong. We would all wish that we can get back to normal. Our wards can be in school, learning to take over from where we live off. But we must also agree that we have a situation that we must contend with. And I was glad that Honorable Inouye Sefuseni made a reference to what happened in France. Now, look at their conditions, look at their facilities, and the fact that after reopening schools, what occurred. And then compare that to what we have here today, where even we've not been able to fully satisfy frontline healthcare professionals with their needs with regards to the PPEs.
Look,
is it the case that, for example...
No, don't give him that floor. please. You are talking specifically on education. He's playing politics. He just needs to straighten his language. I don't want to come in. He's not in studio with us. No, he should be speaking education.
So what do you
want? Jump onto frontline health workers. That's a different subject. We are not here for that. No, they are not. Speak as a parent, speak to the world what you want us to do for the children. That is more critical. And stop government not being able to meet the demands of frontline health workers.
Okay, it's okay. That's why I moderate this program. So let me come in. Dr. Park, hold your horse. You two hold yours as well. So hold your horses. Now let me ask. And this one just in 15 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
The teachers, when we're going to deploy them to the schools, back to the schools, they'll still need PPEs.
Sure.
Well, some form of PPE, not fully, at least nose masks.
You're wearing a localized nose mask.
Yes.
I'm wearing one.
Yes.
This is homegrown.
Okay.
We are developing a homegrown industry.
Okay.
This is leadership.
Yes. But he's alluding to the fact that consistently we tend to have...
Show me wherever on this earth.
We tend to have shortages even at the health front.
Since the outbreak of this pandemic, who've ever had it all through and become the best and got everything right? None.
Yes, true.
None.
That's why the cases are flying.
It took the world by storm.
But the cases are flying all the same.
Roland.
Yes, sir. Dr. Park.
Yes, very quickly. He wants me to focus on education.
Yes, you should, because he says the pressure is not as much as the health sector. I mean, which is logical.
No, we are not speaking in a vacuum. I am only alluding to the reality. And I was to compare that to what happens if we have instances, and how do we monitor to ensure that teachers and students are safe. They will need that. They will need nose masks. They will definitely need sanitizers. Wouldn't they need those? They will have to get Veronica buckets located at vantage points on the campuses with running water, so that they can also abide by the protocols, including the social distancing that I spoke about. But in any case,
Dr. Park.
So the intention
Dr. Park,
that before the students go to school, they will be tested. Would the teachers also be tested? And are we going to have a mechanism in place where we would activate the healthcare units? Because every school is supposed to have at least a nurse or a healthcare professional there with some basic, healthcare supplies to be able to offer assistance to students who may have one ailment or the other. As I'm speaking to you, that is not the case in all of our schools. Are we going to activate all of those? So the point that parents and the point that the teachers are making is that, yes, we should be thinking about the best way forward in dealing with this matter. But it is too early for us to start looking at opening schools when we have not even prepared a document. You write to the teacher unions, they receive the letter over the weekend, and you are inviting them the week after to propose ideas about the way forward. Are you even giving them enough space to be able to make proper input?
Why not?
All of these questions that we need to discuss.
Why not?
Do we need a year to do this?
So look, at some point in time, we have to come to a head. So 2 minutes each. Let me start with Seth. Okay.
Let me
Seth wants to have the floor.
No. The point is that
you've been dominant.
I've been listening to Dr. Park. Areas where they deployed and returned students to school. We have various classes of schooling. They did not just start with basics. They started, sometimes they look, if it's a university campus, that they can seriously manage them well. We need to get our lives back. So they look at the various segments where it's applicable, then they deploy. When they begin to see their challenges, they withdraw them. So that's it. Teachers must proffer solutions. Me and him, our national service personnel are not coming to work in Parliament. Our parliamentary service staff are on rotation. And so every sector of the economy is doing some level of engineering. If we've written to them, this is akin to what is happening all over the world. We should not just jump the horse and say, we will open all schools for all children to come. Have you got the funds to even cater for the lives we are going to throw out there? No. We are today protecting ourselves. Do you think locking down is the pleasure of any person? No. But how do we manage ourselves?
Right. Now let me ask a question. Do you think that the state authorities ultimately know that we have to open, and so that's why they are doing that? But they are trying to create a certain scenario of normalcy so that other things can go on.
No. You can't create a situation of normalcy now. It will be irresponsible to try to create a situation of normalcy now. But what nations are worried about is how long this lockdown or closure of schools or the banning of economic activity should continue.
What do you say?
Yeah, it's a big concern, it's a big worry. Now, because you see, you have your kids. If they're in private school, they might be better. Because the private schools have instituted the Zoom learning. So if your kids are in private school, they are going to school. Albeit the contact with the teachers is now through the internet. But the public schools, there is nothing. They are sitting at home. So what do? That's why countries are thinking.
What do you think we should do?
No, I'm saying that in this case, opinions must be backed by science and data.
Okay.
So
what's your opinion?
Nations? No, I don't have an opinion in this matter. I just think that you should look at the science. You should look at the data. And you should look at the experiences of other countries. What other countries are doing is gradual, conditional, easy return of students to school. Gradual, because whatever be the case, we must be working towards a return. The world cannot be in this situation.
Okay, so you back a return. You say that, look, let's go back to school, but in small bits.
In small bits.
In small bits, yeah. That's the same thing. I think this is a good headline for myjohnline.com. The Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. Dr. Park, in 10 seconds, reopen or not reopen in small bits?
Well, we would all want our wards to be back in school, but it must be done in a way that would reassure parents, teachers, and non-teaching staff of their safety. But as I said, those in the middle of the theater have indicated that it is a bit too early. And I think that, the ministry should engage them a lot more aggressively and give them some reasonable time for them to also proffer what they think is going to be the best way forward.
What do you say? What do you say in one sentence?
Well, what I'm saying is that there needs to be a dialogue between the government and the teacher unions about the way forward in as far as the discussion about when to reopen is concerned. reopen, we all want it to reopen, but it has to be done at a time and in a manner that will not endanger teachers, students, and non-teaching staff.
Great. I think you should have started this way, right?
No, remember that.
It's okay. It's not for debate. Dr. Clementa Park. Busa Saf.
He's a member of parliament, so
Yeah.
he knows how to run his mouth.
Yeah, thank you very much. He's also a known educationist. I remember he used to work at the University of Ghana. And
not only University of Ghana, he actually
Seth
taught.
Champo, member of parliament from Price.
He actually taught for a long time in Canada.
Now, let's move on. We've had a good interaction. And
today there's e-learning. People put on television.
happy birthday to you, Priscilla Hupati of GCB Bank. And it's from your husband, Jerry, who also celebrates his birthday today. Hey, how did you guys meet? Now, well, happy special birthday to husband and wife who celebrates their birthday on this special day. But let me tell you this. Your convenience and safety also means a lot to us. Easy does it. Now read all the news at home. No need to leave your home or office when the news is available to you on the go. So make sure that you get on your device now. Download Graphic News Plus from Google Play Store or App Store. Buy your e-copies of the Daily Graphic, the Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, Graphic Sports, as well as videos, free news, and so much more. That's the plus for you. You further enjoy some 10% discount on monthly subscription, 15% for 3-month subscription, and 20% discount for 6 months and beyond. Graphic News Plus, connecting people through news. Well, we also wish to apologize to our cherished audiences in the United Kingdom for their inability to access us through the TuneIn app as usual. We, however, are available on myjoyonline.com and adomonline.com. You can also access our streams on Facebook, join us on TV, on Twitter, and then on YouTube on Android devices, as well as the Google Play Store and Apple App Store as MyJoy Online and Adom Online. The Tema motorway interchange was open to traffic just this last Saturday. Now, some motorists who use the stretch currently say it has reduced the bumper-to-bumper traffic situation on that stretch. Now, Max Ologbagba takes us on a tour of the interchange.
The Tema motorway roundabout interchange was open to traffic on Saturday. It is a $57 million grant from the Japanese government through its agency, JICA. A lot of people we've been speaking to here have been talking about how the interchange here has actually reduced the bumper-to-bumper traffic that they usually see even on weekends. But what we're doing here today on Joy News is to take you on a tour of the new interchange, basically showing you what to look out for on this particular interchange. Mind you, you just have to pay attention to the traffic signals. Usually you see them with a blue background and an arrow directing you on where to go. If you follow the traffic signals and the road markings, you shouldn't get missing or you shouldn't get lost on the interchange. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Join us as we take you on that tour here on Joy News. Now we are coming all the way from the Central Business District, Accra and its environs, and we are using the interchange. So if you're coming from Accra and you are done crossing the you're done crossing the toll booths and you're fixing this section of the road, what you have to do is you just focus on the blue board very close to the overhead bridge at the top there. Just focus on the road markings on that blue board there, on that traffic signal there. It gives you an indication of which side of the road you should use. So now if you're going to Aflau, all you have to do is to use the underpass. If you're going to the Tema Harbour or Akosombo, you would have to use the other side of the road so you can see slowly. So you can see the direction heading to the other side of the road. That has been temporarily closed to traffic. So all you have to do is to focus on the blue board. So if you're going to Tema Harbour or Akosombo, you use the right-hand side of the road. And you can see the road markings there indicating that. Make sure you follow the big blue board with the arrows pointing to where you're going. If you follow that, you're good. So this is the underpass. So we're going to use the underpass tunnel. The underpass tunnel. And remember, all these vehicles are heading towards Aflau. So this is the underpass. This is the underpass tunnel. So we just finished using the underpass tunnel. So this is now heading towards Aflau and its environs. We are heading to the Central Business District now. We are going to Accra now. On our right-hand side is the road that links to Akosombo and then Ashaiman and its environs. So if you're going to Akosombo, the Tema Harbour, you use the other side of the road. But if you're going to Accra, you go straight and then use the underpass tunnel. This is going to Tema Harbour, and then the other section of the road is going to Akosombo. And as you can see, there are wire mesh all over. They don't want people to be jumping across the street. But we are heading to Accra right now, to the Central Business District right now, and we're going to use the underpass. So same way, if you're going to Aflau, Mount, Pram and its environs, you do not have to use the overhead bridge. You use the underpass tunnel. You use the underpass and then you use the tunnel. If you're coming from Pram and its environs and you're heading to Accra, you're heading to the Central Business District, you still use the underpass and you're going to use the tunnel. All you have to do is to focus on the blue big board attached to the overhead bridge, and to give you an indication. It has a signal. It will direct you to where you're going. I mean, construction is almost done, but what we realized was that they were still trying to beautify the median. You can see they've done the grassing for the sides of the interchange. We are at the new third-tier interchange. Here are the Tema Motorway roundabout. On a usual Tuesday morning like this, what you would find will be bumper-to-bumper traffic on this stretch, usually for vehicles going to the Central Business District, to Ashaiman, to Akosombo, and other parts of the country. But that bumper-to-bumper traffic is non-existent today. A lot of the people we've been speaking to here have been attesting to the fact about how there is the traffic flow today.
Traffic here is very serious, but now it's okay.
Okay.
But there's no bus stop here. There's no bus stop, as you can see.
Okay. But no, wait, I think the trotros can stop here, right?
Yeah.
The trotros can stop here.
Yeah, but there's no bus stop, if you can see.
So usually, previously, how many hours you spend in traffic before getting to your workplace or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But bus stop, there's no bus stop here.
Okay. I've been interacting with tram drivers here at the taxi rank who are attesting to the fact that the new interchange is going to reduce the travel time and it's going to reduce the bumper-to-bumper traffic. They however not too excited about some of the happenings here. I've been interacting with them.
Previously, the traffic is too huge. But right now, the way they do traffic lights on the up, morning time, sometimes you see that the traffic will jump for them. But now they do the road, everything finished already. We are the roundabout working as a taxi driver before they finish the road. But they haven't created any place. So we want to create some place and work small to get very ready for our children.
Okay.
And then the road is very good, but it's a little bit of traffic when there's a timer. There's traffic on the road. So I wish they should have constructed those ones are going to Michelle Camp, Akosombo Road. When they construct that place, I think the traffic will be to come down.
Okay.
Still, we have problem in traffic, but not like the first.
Okay. So first, the traffic situation was really bad here.
Bad, very bad.
Okay.
Very, very, very bad.
Very bad. But now you can see the cars just.
Oh, now it's moving. It's moving. It's moving.
So previously in the mornings, like you not see the traffic flowing like this.
You see traffic from here to even getting to barrier, the police barrier. So as of now,
So from understanding, you are happy with the project.
Oh, we are happy.
But the only thing you're not happy about is them not allowing you to work on the side of the road.
Okay. We are not loading in the middle of the road.
Okay.
We are outside, and you can see. You can see.
Okay.
And you can see. This place, it is a very space here.
Yeah.
We can park because those cars are from Aflao coming.
Okay.
And then let me tell you something. Here we have the strangers that came in out from Aflao, Nigeria, Togo, Benin. Some are strangers. They didn't know Tema. They didn't know Ghana. So when they drop here, they come to us.
Okay.
So I'm going to this place. I'm going to women's hospital. I'm going to. So we will take them to that place. So when they say they won't create any bus stop here, the people, I don't know where they will form before, and then they will come and stop.
Okay. Okay. So
there's no bus stop.
So all you want is you want them to allow you to work here.
And not they have to prepare some place to give us.
Okay.
So that we shouldn't disturb the highway.
Tell me, previously when this interchange was still constructed, what was the traffic situation like on this stretch?
Oh, actually, the traffic situation is very nice.
It's okay now?
It's okay now.
Yeah, but in the past, what was it like?
Oh, it's very, very serious traffic. Yeah, because as you can see now, the road is open.
Okay.
And now cars are free and then they are going systematically.
Yeah. But you are an Okada rider. What it means is that previously, when people are stuck in traffic here, they'll get out of their trotro or in their taxi and then hop onto your Okada.
One day, it will affect a lot. Because now you can see there's no traffic again.
Yeah.
So it makes the people who would drop from their car or to come and join the motor now, it's not like that again.
It's not like that again.
And actually, because of due to these coronavirus situations, the president has said that we should not take any.
Exactly. I was coming to that. So you are an Okada rider, you operate here. Now traffic is flowing, it's going to affect your business. Even now, because of social distancing, you cannot operate. Tell me, how is that? How are you living? How are you surviving? Can you join us? You're also an Okada rider. Tell us, how are you surviving? Let me find out from you first.
It's very, very serious for us. Because as for me now, I have children. Some of them are in schools, and this is the work that I do to give them before they also go to school. And now, how the thing has happened. We are finding things difficult.
Wow.
So we are praying. So if the government can do something for us so that we also manage our family then.
Yeah. So how many children do you have?
Now I have about 5 children.
5 children?
Yes.
And it was Okada that you were doing to take care of them. Yeah. And how much do you usually make in a day?
Now, as at now, I have customers because we don't take passenger. For me, I don't take passenger. Because I have some people who do to send me, send this thing to somebody.
Now let's show the world how good we are with our essays. Joy Learning Essay Club on Facebook offers junior high and senior high students an excellent opportunity to show the world how well they can write. So let's talk about this club. It sounds really exciting, and we want to just real quick zoom into Nana Esiedo. She's channel manager, Joy Learning. There you are. Good to see you. Nana, tell us about this club.
Good to see you. Okay, so just saying hi to all viewers of AM Show. And then just before I answer that question, I would want to acknowledge our partners. We've been in a very productive and a nice relationship with SES, KNET, and WULO. From the beginning, they have given us support. And then before I answer that question too, I want to say that yes, we have Joy Learning has been the #1 educational channel and still is. I believe in order to maintain our leadership in the market, we have introduced, in addition to our lessons, digital concepts. And currently, we have trivia riddles running on our social media. And now we are introducing one big concept called the Essay Club. And the Essay Club, yes, it's a monthly exciting educational concept where we are going to advertise and promote topics every month. And we have in-house professional examiners who are going to take their time off their busy schedules to mark these essays and select 10 essays, 5 from the senior high school categories, and then junior high school, 5 from junior high school category. And then in order to keep our audience also part of this exciting venture, we would post these selected essays on Facebook and have them to also judge the winner. Also so that they can be part of this exciting, concept.
Okay, and I know in the end we're looking for young ambassadors as well. So what's been the response? Have people sent in entries yet?
Yes, I'm happy you have brought up this question, Mama V. If you visit our Facebook page now, it's Joy Learning TV, you'll find a lot of entries. And one that excites me more is entries coming from USA and others also coming from Nigeria and other African countries like Benin. The majority of our essays are in Ghana. Most people we have entries coming in each and every day. So far, we have 200 entries.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is to keep them part of this this exciting concept. We're going to give them an update of those who have sent their entries from today.
Okay.
We're going to post it on Facebook for them to know the number of entries that have come in so far.
Okay.
We're going to give them tip off of some of the essays and what people are actually writing about.
Okay.
Yes,
so can you just give us the topic? What are they writing on again, and how can someone participate?
Okay, so sure. The topic is how can Ghana make e-learning accessible to everyone, every student all over Ghana, all over the world. So if you want to be part of this exciting and educational concept, you need to follow us on Facebook.
Okay, we seem to have lost that sound there with Nana. Hopefully we can get her to reconnect. But just to continue, you can send a direct message of your essay to Facebook at Joy Learning TV. On Facebook, Joy Learning TV. So Joy Learning TV, that's the Facebook link. But there's more in terms of how you can get to be part of it. But the deadline is Monday, May 25th, 2020. Essay Club is brought to you by Joy Learning. Joy Learning, keep learning. So I'll just allow the advert to play so you can get involved in this particular competition. But up next, we've got Celestine Donko hanging out with Caddy. That's all coming up in Show Business.